Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Entitled Parents. In today's episode, entitled Mom and Son Eat Poisonous Berries Despite My Warning Signs. Entitled Mother Tells My Mom to Handle Her Kids. Crazy Stage Mom EM Tries to Force Her Daughter into Our Corporate Training Video. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled Mom and Son Eat Poisonous Berries Despite My Warning Signs. Okay, I'm not sure if this is entitled per se or just plain stupidity, but this happened yesterday morning. So background, I live in Southern California, very close to the beach. Needless to say that I encounter a lot of locals and tourists. On the right side of my property across the street, there are shops, a cafe, and a bus stop. Now on my property, I have a holly berry bush, which are poisonous. Now they taste like cherries and have a cinnamon-like aftertaste, so a person that doesn't know about the plant would have no idea of this. The side effects of the berries are nausea, disorientation, diarrhea, vomiting, and severe stomach cramps. Due to my house being on the historic registry and nature protection laws, I can't just remove the bush because some of the birds pick at it and eat from it. I know that the berries and leaves aren't poisonous to some species of birds and other critters like certain squirrels and chipmunks. Anyway, because of this, I have two signs that say "Do not eat" and "Danger skull and crossbones." The fact that I have a sign with danger with a hazard skull and bones deters most people, except for this persistent mom and boy last morning. So, it's around 10:30 and I take my trash out. This mom, who looked about 40, had two kids with her, a teen girl around 14 to 16 maybe, and a little boy who looked 6 to 8 years old. The mom and the boy are the entitled/stupid ones here. The teen girl was actually nice. The boy says, "Entitled boy, MOM look berries." Entitled mom, "Wow, I didn't realize berries grew here, let's get some." I ask her to read the signs that say don't eat them. She scoffs and says, "Entitled mom, ugh, it's not like you need all these berries. You should be nice and give them to my kids. Don't be greedy." Entitled boy, "Mom, when are we going to have berries?" Entitled mom, "Right now." Teen girl, "You want any?" Teen girl, "No mom, I think they're dash," cut off by the mom. Entitled mom, "Okay then. Because I'm older, I couldn't run fast enough to catch them." The mom and son broke a branch off the berry bush. They started running and scarfing down berries and went to the bus stop across the street with the teen girl reluctantly following. I was yelling to get her attention for nearly 20 minutes. But after the mom and the boy started getting overly sweaty and acting weird, the teen came to talk to me. Teen girl, "Hey sir, what's wrong?" Me, "Those berries are poisonous. I tried to warn your mother and brother, but it's too late." The teen started to cry, thinking that they were going to die. I comforted her, saying that they'll live, but they're going to be just very, very sick. Soon I went to my house to get seltzer tablets and water bottles to help. But the time I came back, both the mom and son finished all the berries and the boy threw up all over his shirt. The mom came back with obvious signs of throwing up herself and to yell at me when I pointed to the signs that said danger and do not eat, and that this was her fault. She flipped the bird and left. The teen just said, "Sorry." I gave her the seltzer tablets and she went into the cafe to get paper towels to clean up her brother, but by the time she came back, the mom vomited too. They all got on the bus and I haven't seen them since. Thanks for reading. Have a great day. Edit. There's been a lot of people asking me about the berries in my house. So I bought my house 50 years ago and I didn't know that the berries were poisonous. Despite me having signs and warning people for all these years, people still manage to eat them. And yes, many people have gotten sick. But due to my house being on the historic registry, I can't remove the bush. So I have to do the best that I can do, warn others, but people still eat them. Karma. No right to take anything off someone's private property. Definitely felt entitled to help herself and Brad's son. People picking berries has been a problem ever since I bought the house. I've always tried to warn people, but it doesn't always work out. Ever since I put up the signs a couple years ago, it works more often. When I bought the house, I didn't know that the berries were poisonous, and it sucks to go through that. so I try my best to warn people. I had a similar situation like this at my parents' house. I don't know what kind of shrub we had in the front garden, but it was a border around the garden and it grew dark blue berries. I was smart enough to not try them because I didn't know what they were, but I've seen birds eat them. One day we had some woman banging on the door and started screaming at me because the berries made her kids sick. I just stood there and said, "So your child stole berries from my private property, ate them, and now you're angry ate because there's no warning signs?" She couldn't really say much else other than threaten to sue me, so I said, "Bring it on," and shut the door. Day later, the police came by to ask questions about the incident, so I told them, and they asked if I wanted to press charges on her for theft, harassment, trespassing, and threatening behavior. I said I think official police warning will be enough. Never had a problem with those berries before and never had one since. How are the berries, Ralph? Good. It tastes like burning. In 3rd grade, I saw some mom eating berries off a bush a school field trip. Saw them vomit 5 minutes later. Kinda funny though. You really tried, but they were really stupid. I come from a farming family. Much of our property is wild. I was taught early on to be careful about even touching wild plants, let alone eating them. Miner's lettuce, wild blackberries, and huckleberries are the only things there I would pick and eat with confidence. Entitled mother tells my mom to handle her kids. My 17F, mom, 41F, took me out to get makeup the other day for a friend whose birthday is coming up. We entered the store and all was going really well. I was checking out concealers while my mom was on the other side of the shop looking through various shades of lipsticks. Enter entitled mother, late 20s, F, with her devil spawn. I say devil spawn because her kids were misbehaving wildly, and she didn't bother even once to tell them to stop or something. Not even a minor rebuke. I say devil spawn because that about sums these two kids up. They were running wild around the shop, throwing testers around and being a general nuisance. My mom stepped in when the kids started poking their slimy little fingers into the lipstick testers. I get it. They're just testers, but EW. People are likely going to use those to decide whether they like the shade or not, and God knows where those fingers have been. Like, one of them was legitimately picking his nose minutes ago. My mom, having 4 kids of her own, looked around to find their parent. EM was the only one in the shop besides us. My mom called out to her, and this is how the conversation went. "Mom, excuse me, are these kids yours?" I know, very obvious, but my mom is a very polite person, so it's not odd to me. EM, yeah. "Mom, can you please tell them to stop touching the testers? They're not toys." EM, if it's such a problem, why don't you handle them? Oh, boy. My mom left the shop for a few minutes and signaled me to not follow her. She came back with 2 buff security guards in tow. The kids were still poking their fingers in the testers. The guards walked up to the kids, and in the deepest baritone ever, one asked, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" The kids looked terrified and cue the waterworks. EM immediately stormed over and began reprimanding the guards for scaring her poor little angels. She then saw my mom nearby. "EM, you did this." At this point, she was practically hissing like a cat. "How dare you teach me how to parent?" "Mom," in an eerie monotone, "you told me to handle them, hence I handled them." She screamed more obscenities at my mom, the guards, anything around really, but the guards weren't having it and told her to leave. She created quite a scene, but thank everything that is holy, she left. My mom had quite the story to tell at dinner. A rather comedic encounter with an entitled parent. This sub's phrase of the day, devil spawn. I have been rather fond of crotch fruit. You know, if she approached the devil spawn herself, the devil would have been all over her. By using the security to approach the spawn, the devil could not, believably, claim mom did anything wrong. Your mom is a polite genius. Thanks for sharing. Smart move on her part. I love your mom. She did indeed handle it well. Well, she did tell your mom to handle it, and it got handled. Crazy stage mom EM tries to force her daughter into our corporate training video. I was part of a team shooting a short corporate training video. It was on visitor policies for front office workers of a regional healthcare operation. It showcased various scenarios involving visitors that might come up on the job and the do's and don'ts in each case. No one was chasing an Oscar here, but it was still quite high budget and professional, with one exception. The corporation had granted us access to a front office area at one of their locations to use as a set, but they hadn't thought to notify all the practitioners in the building that they'd be shooting. It was a weekend, when they're typically closed for business, so I guess they just took for granted things would be shut down. But there are dozens of private offices of employees in these buildings, and a couple people chose to work weekends. As a result, their patients and clients kept streaming through the lobby while we tried to do this. For the most part, it didn't actually matter. Those who even noticed us at all could see we were filming and at worst took a couple pictures then left well enough alone. Until the Karen and Karen Jr. breezed in. But we'll call them Wanda and Wanda Jr. Because my mother is named Karen and she's a wonderful woman. And my ex-wife is named Wanda and this is exactly the shit I could see her getting up to. Anyways, we were shooting a scenario in which a third-party contractor approaches the desk attempting to gain entry, e.g., a delivery person, a maintenance worker, etc. We were using a water guy. There's an elaborate procedure that's supposed to be demonstrated in the video. It takes several excruciating shots to get correct. We're finally approaching the finish line when... Oh my GAWD. Are you making a movie? My daughter is an actress. She'd be great in any movie. Give her any line to read. Any part. She will nail it. What kind of movie is it? We had a PA who was assigned to play defense against anything like this when we realized the building was semi-open to the public, but things had been going so smooth for so long, he took his eye off the ball. A crew member pulled her to the side and patiently explained, "Sorry, ma'am, no movie. Just a corporate thing. You can go that way to your appointment," trying to politely but clearly signal that she needed to move along. That went in one ear and immediately out. She grabbed Wanda Jr. and dragged her over, practically shrieking at this point. "Oh, good. No, that's so good. Things like this prove dynamism. It'll be priceless for her reel. And you'd be lucky to have her, trust me. Any part, just name any part, and she'll blow it out of the water. You should see her do Titanic, actually, speaking of. But name any part. She's ready." Wanda Jr. looked anything but ready. She looked exhausted, mortified, and a little nervous. I didn't know if she was scared by the confrontation or at the premise of being given a role. Not that it mattered. The content of these videos is dictated by powers that be. We can't just go adding anything. A more senior crew member tried to reason with them at this point, realizing the whole ordeal was really beginning to hold us up. He emphasized to Wanda, "This is a training video for this business. That means it will only ever be seen by people who work here. And not even every single one of them. Those who do see it, you know. There isn't even a credits. So, please." He gestured broadly at our operation that had ground to a halt, hoping the point had been made. "Okay, so just put her in as an extra or something. She doesn't have to speak. You're all so sensitive," Wanda griped. You almost had to admire her dedication at that point, but she wasn't advocating for herself. She was haranguing us on behalf of her daughter who was cowering in a corner a ways away, seemingly totally uninterested in any of this. A few of us got together and discussed our next steps. We decided to just continue shooting and hope for the best. We did, and you can guess what happened. Wanda dragged Wanda Jr. back over and tried to plop her down in the middle of the shot. We reset at a slightly different angle and rolled again. Wanda herself made a ton of noise and did everything possible to be disruptive. We got together in a small group again. We discussed waiting and coming back to finish another day, but we were already severely behind schedule for that day, so would likely need an entire extra day of filming if we went this route, which was not logistically feasible. We discussed calling the authorities. We did have a film permit, but that doesn't go so long a ways in keeping strangers out as you'd think it does and isn't necessarily enough to even get the police out at all. Finally, we didn't want to generate any negative buzz with the company. We film corporate-type videos often and we're not keen on a reputation of being hostile to clients or creating hostile scenes inside public-facing areas. Then, the PA had quite the idea. An upcoming scene was what to do when emergency services seek to enter the building, e.g., firemen, security, police, etc. And as such, we had a cop costume and an actor primed and ready to play a cop, all just laying around. We only had to cross our fingers that Wanda and Junior did not notice the cop had a same-day side hustle as a water guy. So, it took a little bit. Wanda planted her feet the entire time, taking glamour shots of Junior in front of our modest camera equipment. Then, the cop arrived. We recast him as a security guard so no one would go to jail for impersonating some public official. He swaggered up to the front desk and declared, "Someone contacted security? We'll need access," which is actually also more or less his first line. A few of us were nervous he'd forgotten the mission and defaulted to his practiced content. But no, the desk lady was unflappable. Everyone was on their game. "Thank you, sir." Was it an emergency or non-emergency call? Also essentially the desk lady's first line. Now we were really all holding our breath. One of the senior crew steps in. "Yes, hi." I called. He briefly explains that we're trying to film and what's gone on. Our officer nodded and told Wanda, quite authoritatively, "All right, ma'am. Move along, please. This section of the building is closed to the public and there's absolutely no loitering." She continued taking her glamour shots. Photo and video are also strictly prohibited. That's a HIPAA violation. I might need to report that. Wanda huffed, puffed, and pouted, but she didn't know what to say. The best she could come up with was, "I had an appointment. I can be here if I want to." To which our officer replied, "No, ma'am. You can be in the office where you had your appointment. And if they've asked you to leave, then you have to go. The rest of the building is closed but for traffic to and from private offices. Think of it this way, if I have an appointment in Dr. Smith's office, am I entitled to go into Dr. Jones's office just because it's in the same building? Or am I entitled to stay in Dr. Smith's office for the rest of my life because I had an appointment there?" He stared blankly at Wanda, who threw a stapler off the desk in her fury. "Oh no, there will be none of that. Let's go before I have to escalate the matter," our officer warned, with certainly no plan as to what he'd do next. So we held our breath, but she left. This was during the writers/actors/everyone strike, so she yelled out as she left, "I'm going to report you to all the unions as scabs. F*** curse." As though our corporate training video in Middle America was a union acting job. While it was frustrating to be off schedule, I mostly just feel bad for Wanda Jr. I hope she gets to spend plenty of alone time with Dad to even out the crazy. Nice save with the security guard. Sounds like he ad-libbed his new part really well. Yeah, he was a total pro. We'd used him a bit before in stuff like this, so we knew he could act a script. Had no clue about these talents though, so we got lucky, haha. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next video.